Hey everyone, Dan at Bushcraft. Here it is. We are out here in about a foot of snow, field testing for the first time the AK-8 from Architect Knives. If you go back to the first video where I entered this, gave an introduction on this, all of the specs, information, everything is in there. For this video, it's all about the field test. We're going to put this to work and we're going to see how it performs. So right behind me, I have a fallen fir tree, and we're going to try to delimb that. So let me pause you guys for just a moment. All right, I do not have a sheath for this yet, so hence I have it tucked under my arm. But situation like this, one of my primary needs is shelter. Remember from the first video, this only weighs 11.2 ounces, very lightweight, skeleton handle. But there's a lot of weight out in front. So, if I need to delimb fir for a shelter, very nice. Back where you guys can see a little bit better. Very nice. So that quick and easy, I can delimb some fir trees for an emergency shelter. And right now, a lot of people have brought their old Christmas trees up here and dumped them back in the woods. So I can just pick up an old Christmas tree alongside the road and use it for testing this knife out. I don't have to take down a live tree or anything as I might in a real survival situation. So for delimbing, getting fir boughs down for an emergency shelter, it performed quite well. No problem whatsoever. Let's move on to next test. All right, I had to hike up the hill to find me a stump, do a little chopping. And tell you, by the way, so the canvas micarta grips, these same grips are on. I brought it with me. My SE6, same grips that are on my SE6. And I have the canvas micarta or the G10 on almost all my knives, exception being my Becker BK9, in which I took the micarta blanks and dyed my own handles. This has, so I've already chopped a little bit with it, but so if you can see right there, all the hair from my hand is laying on top of the blade. So it comes with a very nice razor sharp edge. Cleaned up my thumb right there really good, and already did a little chop or a little delimbing with it. The point, what a way to test a point, but putting it into a frozen stump. And dropping it in the snow. But it's got that Cerakote finish on it to prevent rust, so I will keep the edge oiled. Let's try a little chopping. All right, so you guys can see. I don't have the best surface here, kind of awkward, but And I'm not going to say right now how this compares to my SC Hunglis 2 or my Becker BK9. That's for the next video when I bring all three out and compare side by side. But it feels really good in the hand. It's very light, so it's comfortable. My hand, my wrist, and things aren't going to get tired. And it's doing what I ask it to do. So let's maybe I need to make a stake to hammer in the ground for a reflective firewall. High saber grind. So there, if I needed to make a steak for something, maybe I'm cooking, maybe shelter, maybe firewall, it chops very nice for doing something like that. There we go. That's not bad. There's my steak in. That's where I chopped it. You know, obviously at 11.2 ounces, it's not going to be the chopper that a heavier knife would, or of course a hatchet. But then again, disadvantages, advantages. Carrying a heavier knife, or for your situation, maybe pairing this up with our last ditch survival kit, a large knife that only weighs 11 ounces, so you can move as light and fast as possible. Not bad at all. And holding up beautifully. Holding up just beautifully. All right, let me see if I can find some of the smaller pieces here. All right, I'm gonna deglove for this. Didn't mean for that to happen. Now I'm just trying to put it out here where you guys can see it, but does a fine job. Got a knot here. Fine job at pointing a stick. Let's put a notch in that and try out the finger choil. Almost too cold. Almost too cold. All right. So I'll use this as a little baton. And see if I can get up here behind this stump. So I'm using the finger choil to choke up. and it is doing a nice job. Yeah, like that. So that quick and easy. Oh, almost slid down the hill. That quick and easy. There's a 7 notch. So it actually carved through that really, really easily. And again, the nice thing about it at 11 ounces is some of my bigger knives, you start doing very much carving with them, you can feel the weight after a while. This is just, it's so light in the hand that it's actually very, very comfortable to carve with for a big knife. And let's try out that thumb jimping. I was holding it a little different. I was holding it like this, but let's try out that thumb jimping and see how that feels. For those of you who like to use it, it's definitely, if you apply a lot of pressure, it's definitely hard on the thumb, but it's definitely keeping my thumb from slipping. And in gloved hands, where my wet gloves might slip on a smooth edge, putting my thumb on that jimping holds that in place very well. All right, so I'm going to kneel down on my glove here. Now I didn't bring, I thought I should have brought a walnut with me. I might do that in a future video. I wanted to bring something to hammer, but assuming that I had some nuts or something that I wanted to bust open, I got the same jimping on that pommel. And so if I was trying to maybe get the bark off of something, do that. Wow. So I could see a situation where you have a fallen log and you want to get some sheets of bark off, pounding along the edge to loosen up the edge so that you could pry up some pieces of bark. Obviously, smashing nuts if you live in country where, you know, nuts grow wild on the trees and stuff. And of course, with their canvas micarta grips, my hand is not slipping at all. So finger choil, thumb jimping up here, jimping on the buttstock. Yeah, that there's a lot you could do with that. Nice. All right, we haven't batoned yet. I'm going to save that for last because I don't have anything at hand to baton with. I'm going to have to go find me some material and haul it over here. But something I've been curious about ever since I got this. So this is my standard size of ferro rod, and I know that most bushcrafters carry a larger rod like this because it gives you more spark. Now this knife is supposed to be optional, at least they plan on doing an option with a 90-degree spine. After field testing this, I am going to take it and put a 90-degree spine right here on the front, probably before I do the head-to-head with my SE and my Becker, because those both are modified with a 90, so that puts them on equal terms. This, however, does come with a notch designed for a ferro rod, and I thought right off too, this would be cool for lifting a pot out of the fire. You'd have to get in a little farther than you probably want, but if you got in real quick, got your handle, you could lift that out of the fire with that. So that's kind of cool. But what I was curious is if that notch might be too big for my ferro rod. So we're going to see. So there we go. Now it's not, I'm trying to get right where you can see. Okay, so in an emergency, if this is the only thing you had, you can get sparks with it. It does fit this rod. I was worried that it wouldn't, but it does fit my bigger rod. But the edge just isn't that sharp. That's the issue I'm having, is I'm pulling with as much pressure as I can. And I'm getting minimal sparks. So if you are a guy that likes to use your knife for ferro rod as I am, I would recommend ordering the 90-degree option or sharpening up that little divot for the ferro rod, because at least on this particular one, it is not sharp enough to get me the sparks that I would like to have for an emergency fire. Just to compare, this is my SE6, which I have put a 90-degree spine on, and before the next video, I will take this to my friend's knife shop. Right here in front of that, I will put on a 90-degree spine, but you can see the difference there. That's what I would have liked to have seen with that. See, I'm just getting as barely any sparks. This just isn't nearly sharp enough at all. It needs to be a lot sharper. So actually, to be fair, the SE6 and the BK9 come from the factory covered in a coating with no 90-degree spine. You cannot get a spark off the back of the spine, period, until you put a 90-degree spine on them. So that being said, all things fair, as they come from the factory, I can at least get some sparks with this, where a stock unmodified BK9 or SE Hungles 2 or any SE6, whatever, is not going to give me any sparks. So I could get, there's plenty, as little as that is, that's still plenty to get a cotton ball with petroleum jelly ignited and save your rear end. I take all my knives and put 90-degree spines on them, from my smallest of my sheath knives all the way up to the biggest. Every single one, without exception, has a 90-degree spine because that's what I like. So this one will have a 90-degree spine on it next time you see it, unless something happens and I can't get in my friend's knife shop, in which case I will just wait on the video, because I want all three to be on equal terms. So before I go find some things to baton with, the edge, still popping the hair. Wow. I almost took the top layer of skin with it. It's still razor sharp. That's right out of the box. I've stabbed this point into this frozen stump a lot, and it looks absolutely perfect. Very comfortable in the hand, very fast in the hand. If you're looking for something that would also be good for self-defense, an 8-inch blade at 11 ounces, yeah, that's going to be lightning fast in the hand. This would be something that, you know, if I wanted to carry a knife for self-defense, maybe if you're in the military or something, this would just be absolutely perfect along that lines. I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, I give it 2 thumbs up. Again, my personal preference would be to order it with a 90-degree spine, or put one on yourself if you like. Other than that, I like the way it chops. I like the way it feels in my hand. I like the way it carves. I can choke up, and it's light. It's so light that it was so easy to carve with. That's just, you know, there's shorter knives, much shorter knives that weigh 11 ounces. And that is just as comfortable as can be to carve with. And you could do, like if I was doing a notch or something here, and I wanted there, I've got, see my thumb jimping? So I'm choking up with this hand using the thumb jimping. Maybe I was doing some fine carving, maybe trying to make like a little hook or something. Because that's so light, that's very easy. Very easy to do. Nice. All right, I gotta find something to baton with. All right, I didn't have anything of significant size anywhere close to me, out digging around underneath the snow. So we'll just have to go with what we got. This is pretty tall though. And that high saber grind is my favorite grind to baton with, so that's a gimme. Turn that upside down. Let's see if I can split that all the way down. Nice. So if I was maybe making some tongs, carve that out a little bit, lash up this end, making some tongs to lift something out of the fire. It does a nice job of batoning. Batons well, chops well, delimbs well, carves well. As soon as I have a 90-degree spine on it, it'll make fires like magic. And I like it. So for getting, say, a big handful of curls, maybe I want to use a match or a lighter. I want a big handful of these to get my fire started. There we go. That one was nice. Oh yeah. That's not bad. I mean, this is a big wet piece of wood. A nicer, drier piece of wood would make much finer curls. I'm just trying to get a bunch of big curls. So one of the traditional ways of making a fire, if you have matches or a lighter, is to get a big bundle of bigger curls like that and then just get underneath it and light it. So like that right there. It's a big handful of those. Lighter underneath it or match underneath it, and they'll take right off. And then start putting some limbs and twigs on it, whatever. All right, guys. Put my gloves down here so I can have something to sit on that's kind of dry. Go warm up by my fire. There it is. The AK-8 from Architect Knives. I like it, guys. I give it 2 thumbs up. I mean, the blade, this is 1095 carbon. under $100 for the blade, and then you choose your accessories. My sheath hopefully will arrive before the next video. I've ordered just the standard Kydex, but this is a nice knife. This is really nice. The weight of it is the thing that is the coolest. To have a knife this length and this size at 11 ounces, and especially if you want to travel light and move light, like in the summer when I do a lot of climbing up of rocks and crazy things. I've been taking my SC6, but I can tell you this and my SC6 will probably share. They'll have to trade off this summer, and it'll give me a chance to use this some more. So next video, please stay tuned. As long as I can get to my friend's knife shop before next Wednesday, we will bring out the Becker BK9. We will bring out the SE Hungles 2. That gives me two blades of very comparable size. SE Hungles 2 is about the same length as this. The BK9 would be about 3/4 of an inch longer. Those are my two favorite big knives. We'll see how this one compares with those, and how I would, for me personally, actually how I would rank all three, because I've never put my Becker BK9 head-to-head with my SE Hungles 2 yet. So it'll be a new contest for the both of them as well. So Dan at Ochiko Bushcraft, hope you guys like this. Go to Architect Knives, check it out. It doesn't cost you anything to go onto their website and to play around with the features and build the knife. Try out the different handles, see how it looks. And then, again, if you want one, they start as small as 3-inch, go up to the 8-inch. There's a couple different steel options. 2 thumbs up. Dan at Ochiko Bushcraft. I'm going back to my fire. Take care, everyone, and stay safe out there this winter.